Good afternoon, YouTube. It's your man, Joy Page, coming to you live on YouTube. As you know, Black History Month is over, and it's just, this is the start, the first week of March, when those, things getting kind of cooler, and also, the weather's kind of up and down around here, it's about time for the yellow rage. That's when pollen goes everywhere. And if you have hay fever like I do, it is a killer when it gets a lot of pollen like it does. But anyway, like I said before, I'm gonna still try to keep up with some Black History facts every now and then. And this one I should have been ago, but I had to do a lot of research. And there's so much about this man that I just couldn't do so. I can only do so much. So some of it is gonna be from what I put together, and the rest is just something from I know from when I was coming up and listen to. This is one, the nameless one, formerly the artist formerly known as. This is Prince. Oh yeah, doom doom doom. Oh my God, coming up, I was a big fan of Prince. I mean, he was an amazing artist. There's so much stuff you don't really know about him. He was really private. But anyway, let's get started. He was born Prince Rogers Nelson, June 7th of 1958, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minnesota, I guess some people that know up there, that's cold. That's cold up there. Now, Prince was the son of Mate Della and John Lewis Nelson. He was given the name by his father, stage name he had. Both his parents were jazz musicians that originally hailed from Louisiana. They were part of a jazz group called the Prince, Prince, I forgot the name, the Prince singing trio, and he wasn't very fond of his name, so many of his friends called him Skipper. Now, as a child, he was born, with epilepsy and had seizures growing up. One day, he told his mama he wouldn't be, sick anymore because an angel came to him and told him that he would be better. Now, Prince, that's pretty good. Prince is a pretty cool guy. Prince and his younger sister, Tyka, both were keen interest in music, which was encouraged by their father. By the time he was 7, he wrote his first song, Funk Machine, on his father's piano. Now, around 10, his parents decided to divorce, and his mother remarried. He had issues with his new family, so other than he would live with his father and his mother at times. One day, his stepfather took him to a James Brown concert. While living with his father, Prince got his first guitar. Prince moved into the basement of the Anderson family, which were next door neighbors, because him and his father, had a little issue, a little argument, and he kicked them out. So that's where he stayed with the Andersons. He became close friends with their son, Andre, and later collaborated and became known as Andre Simon. That's the start. That's the start of the beginning, people. Now, Prince attended Bryant Junior High and then Central High in Minnesota. He was into playing sports like football, basketball, and baseball. Now, he was a student at the Minnesota Dance Theater through the Urban Arts program of the public schools. He even played on the Central Junior Varsity basketball team and continued to play basketball recreationally as an adult. Now, you remember that if you ever watched Dave Chappelle, remember that skit from his from Charlie Murphy True Halloween Stories, where he told a story about him and Eddie going to Prince's house and playing basketball. And I saw a picture of him somewhere, I think it was somewhere on one of his pages, where he was part of. I mean, even though he was like short, he played basketball. I think he was a small forward when he was coming up, and he played basketball. People keep his idea of Prince as being this kind of like girly, like guy, but he was like most kids coming up. He liked playing sports. I remember some comedian or somebody was talking when he was coming up. They used to play touch football out in the snow back in Minnesota, and Prince used to play with him. And the brother could run, he could move. I mean, he was very athletic, and you thinking, looking at him now and what he was, you wouldn't think he'd be that somebody like being into sports like that. But back, like this was basically what Charlie Murphy said. Back then, most of the guys did that so they get the attention of the women. And basically they say it like say the dude who looked most like a bitch was the one that was getting women, and this is true about Prince. Anyway, let's go on. In '73, he met Jimmy Jam, a songwriter and producer. Now, you know Jimmy Jam is part of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, one of the great producers that produced several people like, Janet Jackson. I think, who was it? Karen White. There's a long list of artists that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis produced during the part of the '80s and the '90s. He impressed Jimmy with his musical talent, and by the time he already uh, metered a wide range of instruments with his work ethic. In '75, with the help from his cousin's husband, Pepe Willie, they formed the band 94 East. Prince and Andre were hired to record tracks. Both Prince and Willie co-wrote songs for the band, and Prince contributed guitar tracks. The band's first song was called "Just Another Sucker." By '76, Prince and a demo tape with producer Chris Moon in Moon Studios, unable to secure a recording contract, Moon brought the tape to Owen Houston, a Minnesota businessman, signed Prince to a management contract at 19. Now, the agency that he worked for recorded a demo, resulted in the interest from several recording labels, including Warner Brothers, A&M, and Columbia Records. Because of Houston's, Prince was signed in a recording contract with Warner Brothers. The contract allowed Prince creative control for the albums and retain his publishing rights. Now, a few years ago, when Prince was still under contract with Warner Brothers, there were some issues. Prince severed ties with them because the fact was he wanted to control his music. Now, the thing about Prince, all his music, like this is a debate about Michael Jackson and Prince. All of Prince's music, he wrote himself. He wrote, composed all his stuff. Now, Michael, most of the stuff he didn't, wrote any of it. It was like either Quincy Jones or a few years ago that the Jam song that was with Teddy Riley. And he often gets several other people. He had more ghostwriters than anybody, but Prince owned his own music, and that's the thing with he was trying to make it so where it was the artists had the rights to their music. If they wrote their music, they should have all more control of it. And the thing was that a lot of these record labels didn't like that idea. That means they're taking money out of their pocket. They want to control. So if an artist said, I want to leave, I'm taking my music with me, they couldn't stop them. And that's the problem was, it's about money. Anyway, Prince moved from Minneapolis to California, where he reached his first album, recorded his first album, For You. The album was done in Los Angeles and released in April the 7th of '78. Now, For You album, Prince was credited for writing, producing, and arranging and composing, and played 27 instruments. That brother can play. He just was amazing. One song co-wrote with Chris Moon called Soft and Wet. It reached number 12 on the Hot Solo Singles and number 92 on the Billboard Hot 100. '79, Prince and Andre created a band. The first show was at the Capri Theater on January the 5th of '79. Executives from Warner Brothers attended the show, but they decided the band needed more time to develop. By October of '79, Prince released his self-titled album, Prince, which was number 4 on the Billboard Top R&B and Black Albums charts. The albums went platinum on the album's 2 R&B hits, Why You Wanna and Treat Me So Bad, and I Wanna Be Your Lover. Now, that's one of my favorites. I Wanna Be Your Lover. That's the way they say, hey. I'm not that good of a singer, but it's a classic. You can sit down. He just has a long list of songs. And Wanna Be Loved was the one that most people recognize him for. That was his song that really got him in the window, especially in the R&B and black communities. Prince performed both songs on American Bandstand on January 26th of 1980. And in the same year, Prince released the album Dirty Mind, which contains sexual explicit material. 2 songs from the album, Head Sister Head and Sister was described as new wave R&B and pop fueled and set with Desire of Shock. He also became the opening act for Rick James on his 80 Fire It Up tour. And in February of 81, Prince made his first appearance on SNL. On October 81, he released his album The Controversy, and he was an opening act for the Rolling Stones on their USA tour. At that show in LA, Prince was forced off stage by the audience. After just 3 songs, the people were throwing trash at him, and after that, he did some small tours in college towns. He was headlining act. In 81, he helped form the new band, The Time, where he did most of the writing and instrumentals, also backup vocals for the lead singer, Morris Day. Now, if you remember Morris Day and The Time, that was a group, Jerk Out, Fishnet, Black Pantyhose. We usually, see his comment, we usually comment that, that's the name we give to Oscar De La Hoya, Fishnets, Pantyhose, and, Do the Bird, or, Morris Day that brother was also, him and Jerome. Remember Jerome? That was the guy, used to be his valet. He used to always bring the mirror out. And Jimmy Jam Terry Lewis also was part of that group, The Time. And those were great groups back in the, and him and Morris were good friends. Now, you've seen the movie Purple Rain, they're supposed to be enemies, but they were good best of friends. He said, you know what, the only person that could be his rival in that movie was his best friend. And that's why he picked Morris for that character in Purple Rain. He was playing himself pretty much, Now, by 82, Prince released his double album, 1999. He sold over 300 million copies, and Prince's Little Red Corvette was one of the first 2 videos by the artist, along with MJ's Billie Jean, to get heavy rotation at MTV. Now, back then, MTV mostly didn't play a lot of black artists. This is what, there's an interview with David Bowie he did a few years ago, many years ago, where they're talking about, he was asking, why is certain artists getting play, especially the rock artists who some of this stuff was raunchy and wild in the daytime, but then most of certain rap artists and R&B artists most get played in the afternoon. Check that out, David Bowie and the MTV interview, and that was many years ago, and that brother was kind of standing. I love David Bowie. He was a good artist. Now Prince and Michael had a competitive rivalry. The song Delirious placed in the top 10 of Billboard Hot 100. He earned his first Grammy nomination at the 26th Grammy Awards. Around 84, the band changed its name to the Revolution. You remember Prince and the Revolution? They were in the movie Purple Rain. The band's first album was 1999, and they had a tour of the same name. Now, the same year, Prince wanted his management to make a deal for a major motion picture. The picture was 1984's Purple Rain. And it was loosely based on autographical story of his life, and also a studio album, which was the soundtrack for the film Purple Rain. Doves Cry, that's that. Everybody loves stuff when Doves Cry, and and Let's Go Crazy, and it just it's just Purple. It's just, if like I said, when I was young, I couldn't see Purple Rain because my older brothers wouldn't let see because there was nudity in it, and we couldn't watch it. So when I got older, I got to see it. It's a great movie. It's a good movie. It's long. If you have the patience for it, it's great music, great singing. It was the premiere of Apollonia. It's an actress and a singer. And it was just a classic movie. You gotta watch Purple Rain. I know there's a lot of you young cats, y'all wouldn't like it too much, but hey, if you know somebody like your mother, grandparents, aunt, uncle, dad, they watch it and tell you it's a great movie. You should watch it just to get a clear history of this man, Prince. Now, Purple Rain sold more than 13 million copies in the U.S. and it was on the Billboard Top 200 award for 24 weeks consecutively. The album produced Prince's first 3 Grammy Awards at the 27 Grammy Awards for some Grammy Awards. He also won an Oscar for Best Original Song Score, and the movie grossed over $68 million in US, now worth around $167 million. Today, that movie, the money is still, even though the movie has been out maybe almost over 30 years, it's still making a good amount of money. People still watch it because it's a classic. It still play out some especially like BET will play it every so often. VH1 will play it. MTV will play it. Especially around certain times of the month or something like that. The album created such a controversy. The wife of Senator Al Gore, Tipper Gore, launched the Parents Music Resource Center, a center that was advocate for mandatory use of warning labels on album covers. Now, back in the day, before things changed. Like I think people think about this goes back to what she did with Two Live Crew, but let's go back to Prince. Prince was the guy who started it, and that means that it used to be back then. You can go to the store. If a product, we have an album with cursing on it, dirty language, whatever. You can buy it. You can be 10 years old and buy it. Because now they changed the rules where they have to be censored. You have to be like for against for children from listening to music like that. That's when the laws change, and that's why now you go to a store and buy. Most people don't even buy records and albums and CDs anymore, but because you can get it offline. But now you still go go to the record store. You're gonna have to be at least 18 to buy it. But nowadays, who buys music? We can just get it offline, and sometimes mostly for free. Anyway, let's go back here. It came about when her daughter listened to one of his songs, "Darling Nikki," which was a song about provoking masturbation. Nikki grinds. He decided to take a break from live performances and music videos in '85 after his last album, Around the World in a Day, which he had single the Raspberry Beret. In '86, his album Parade reached number 3 on the Billboard 200 and number 2 on the R&B charts. His first single was the song Kiss. Kiss, you don't have to be rich to be my girl. That was the same year he recorded Maniac Monday for the all-girl group The Bangles. Bangles had a song Walk Like an Egyptian, and he like I said, he wrote a lot of songs for a lot of artists. I can right now. I'm naming your list right now. Count the Bangles. He worked with Madonna, Sheila Easton, Vanity, Sheila E. Sheila E. was this is one thing about Sheila E. She was his fiance. Apollonia, Patti LaBelle. He worked with Mariah Carey. The brother was talented. He was a ghostwriter for a lot of artists coming up the good part of the 80s and the 90s. And he was the guy you go to. Sinead O'Connor, the song Nothing Compared to You was one of his original songs. And she took that song, gave him permission, and she made it her song. And that song got way more popular with her than it did with him. Even though he made the song, but she's made it more popular. Anyway, he also directed and starred in his second movie, Under the Cherry Moon. The movie was tied for the worst movie of the year with Howard the Duck. March '87, he put out the double album, Sign of the Times. It was supposed to be a triple album, but Warner Brothers forced him to make it double. Sign of the Times had a very successful overseas tour. Prince's management and Warner Brothers wanted to bring the tour back to the United States. So the tour became a movie and was released in theaters November of '87. It did a little better than Under the Cherry Moon, but still did do so as good as the box office. In '89, Prince was asked to record several songs for the upcoming live action adaptation of the DC Comics Batman. That's the one with Michael Keaton as Batman, and you had you had Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and he's one of the top, my top 3 favorite Jokers, I would say. Now the movie was being directed by Tim Burton. Prince produced, the whole album. He did the whole side. There was 9 songs for the album. Now, the Bat Dance peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Also on the album was Party Man. In '90, Prince finished production on his fourth movie, Graffiti Bridge, and the album of the same name. He had some hits from that album, Bees and Tipple, and Round and Round, which featured then teenager Kevin Campbell. By '91, Prince debuted his new band, the New Power Generation, and also songs called um, Herself, Prince, and became my writing's not that good. Copyrighted his love symbol, and well, like I said, and also that song was "Sexy Motherfucker," or "Sexy MF." Now, Prince also that year was Diamonds and Pearls came out, and then he met his first wife, Mate Garcia. Now, Mate, you might remember, she was the one. She was from the Seven Heavens video. She was a belly dancer. He met her from an audition that her mother sent years ago, and she auditioned for Prince, and they became good friends. And later on, they got married a few years later. Now, Mate and Prince had a child, but he died a week after he was born. The child had some medical issues, and he died. And the marriage didn't last that long. Now, Mate was his first wife. By the time before Prince passed away, back in April of 2016, he was already his first wife. And also, Prince was doing other stuff on the side, like he was sometimes he was in Vegas for a couple of years. He had his own show in Vegas. Like a lot of people do that. Like right now, Britney Spears, Jennifer Lopez, Celine Dion, even Jackson did it back in the day. They would go to Vegas to do performances. Sometimes they'll slow down, maybe just give themselves when things get a little slow for them. When they get a little slow for them, they go off to Vegas for a while and they perform for the people there. But eventually, when things got picking up for them, they moved back. But anyway, Prince was just the brother. You remember that time he called himself the formerly artist? No, he had to take the symbol and designed it. And people were like, just call him formerly artist, or just you couldn't say his name, Prince, but just call him the artist formerly known as Prince. But this is always debate to me: who was better artist, Michael or Prince? To me, I'm gonna say Prince. Now, Michael was pretty good. Michael could sing, Michael could dance, but that was it. Michael could sing and dance. Prince can sing, play instruments, dance, compose, produce, write. He was just more, versatile compared to Michael. I love Michael. Michael was the greatest. He should be always remembered. But Prince was he just changed the face of music when he came in the game. And like I said, when he died towards, it was from overdose from fentanyl. Some people saying that the reason why some people say that possibly it was a murder because the fact was he was in dispute with his company Warner Brothers about his music rights. But Prince was an amazing artist. There was a story one time saying that there's the story about people talk about how he dressed, where he got the idea from. Well, I remember years ago he did an interview with his father. He did an interview with his father and said when his father was coming up, he was doing shows and clubs like that, and he worked at a burlesque bar. Now, if you know what burlesque bar is, it's like a strip club, but the girls didn't go all the way nude. They usually had like a big feathers or a ball or something like that. And it was more like a tease thing. And Prince was young. He used to be with his dad, and he'd be in the back with them. He see all the women dressing, and that's where he got his idea from the women dressing. That's what he said, and that's kind of true. The whole, the shirts with the laces and the hat, and stuff like that. That was Prince's thing. And that's what I liked about Prince. He was different. This was a true story years ago. He did. I was like watching his community talk about how when he was from Minnesota, he was friends with Prince. And Prince and a lot of other guys used to play ball, hang out, whatever else. And, he ran into Prince one day because he was back home and he ran each other. He said, hey, he was in town. He was doing a concert. So he invited him to come to the concert. He was so excited, this guy. He was so excited. He said, yeah, this is my boy. He's my boy. I'm going to go see my boy. So he takes some friends and goes to the concert. Now, this concert was the Dirty Mind tour. And if anybody saw the Dirty Mind tour coming up that day, you should know what was I about. Prince comes out wearing high heel boots, a trench coat, bikini underwear, and a bandana. The guy he's like shocked, but that was Prince's thing. He had to shock people. I remember telling you he had a pair of pants with a butt cut out of them. I mean, Prince was just innovative. He just he just did, things to shock people, but people would listen to him because he just had this, and he was really quiet. He was really private. He didn't really get, he didn't do a lot of partying. He was more of a homebody. You know, he went out every now and then, but he's mostly a homebody. And he's really, very clean. Like I remember Patty Bell saying that you come to his house, he changed outfits 2 or 3 times. And he was just, there's a lot of people told that he was just really himself. Then before he died, he was doing a lot of more. He was doing a lot more charity stuff. He's always been kind of, he did a lot of charity stuff, but he always kind of been kind of, stand. He just didn't really put himself out there, but he did it because of the good of it. He didn't want people to say like, oh, Prince is doing it just to do it, but he did it because he wanted to do it, and he wanted to show that he had a good heart, and it's just, he's missed. I mean, and it's just so much he could have done if he was just, it's just like this. It's sad to me, as especially being black, and when we lose some of our artists like Michael, and Prince, and Whitney Houston, while Madonna still walk around breathing. And it's, I like Madonna, but I'm not a big fan. But Prince, he was revolutionary, and and there's no one can do what he did, and just did it as well as he did. And the truth is, it's just, if you are not a Prince fan, just listen to his music. He just put his soul into his music. Also, there's a video I seen years ago where it's him, Michael Jackson, and James Brown. It was some kind of charity thing, some kind of concert. James was there, Michael was there. Prince comes walking on a guy's shoulder, looks like Hulk Hogan, but it's not Hulk Hogan. And he gets on stage and he nearly fell off stage. But it was funny. But it's just three of some greatest artists, different genres, just come together. Prince was more rock, Michael was pop, and James Brown was R&B and soul. So, but anyway, this is just my thing as a fanboy, and I have much respect for Prince. It's your man George Page. Like, subscribe. Don't like, subscribe. I'm out.